Hi, my name's Shawn Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame. And today we're talking about I'm going to say the biggest Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra plot holes. Not going to rank them necessarily. Chris is going to toss them up, and then we're going to swing at them, and we're going to decide just how egregious or not egregious they are in reality. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But before we do that, Chris, how are you? How was your week? What have you been up to? How's life?
My week has been fine. I just got done writing this presentation for this leadership program I'm in, and I approached it in a way that I approach a lot of my videos. Should have told you that, Shawn. But weirdly enough, I'm approaching the way of like so throughout training we had all these different trainings, like 20 or so trainings. And I would often think of like a movie or TV quote that epitomizes that training. And so the presentation we can do anyway. It's just like, hey, just summarize what you learned. You can do it however you want. And so I'm doing it as like, hey, here's a quote from something I love, and here how does this relate to something aspect of the training. Thing is, I have like three Avatar quotes and like two Batman quotes and one The Greatest Showman quote. Uh, which I don't like love The Greatest Showman, but I kept thinking about this quote from The Greatest Showman, which is like, let's wait until tomorrow starts tonight. And this training is called Getting Things Done. It's about like getting things done, essentially, like how to prioritize things and stuff like that. How to, anyway, not important. Um, but in my presentation, I'm not going to tell anyone where these sources are. I'm just going to be like, hey, you guys should go do your own homework, and if anyone can come back to me. Not because I'm like embarrassed of where I get these quotes from, really only because so there's five quotes. Two are from Avatar, two are from Batman, and one is from Great Showman. I would, if I shared where they're from, I would have rather had like five different sources and not just like three. So just for the sake of like not consistency, I don't know, consistency, I don't want to share those sources of it.
I mean, that's kind of fun, though. That's a fun approach.
Yeah. The quotes are, because I figure I'll share, from Avatar, it is three quotes. Iroh has this really great quote to Zuko in the episode Brit to Work, where he says, um, drawing, you must draw wisdom from, ah man, dang it. Those are from all different, oh, must draw wisdom from many different places. If you take it from only one, it becomes rigid and stale. Understanding others, the other nations, the other elements will make you become whole, will help you become whole. I rephrase a little bit of it. I took out the nations and elements part and put like other strengths and weaknesses. That's essentially what he was getting to, strengths, weaknesses, and um, experiences, or that's not the word I use.
That's a
Circumstances wasn't the
reasonable
word, something like that.
context liberty in this case.
Yeah, yeah. The other quote was from Iroh again. There's one quote about life is he's with Aang. It's in the episode Crossroads of Destiny. Him and Aang are walking down this tunnel, and Iroh says like sometimes Aang is unsure like what to do, whether he should like master the Avatar state by giving up Katara, and then Iroh's like I don't really don't know. Like sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. Like you sometimes you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you keep moving forward, you'll come to a better place. So I have that one. That training has to do with resilience. um, the other quote I have, which I absolutely love, is he tells Suzuko in the episode, also Bitter Work. Pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. The true humility is the only antidote to shame. Great quote. Love that. Um, has to do with the TED Talk called "The Power of Vulnerability" that we watched. Batman quotes: "It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me." That's from Batman Begins. I talked about how much I love that quote before. And another Batman quote from Batman Begins is "Why did we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up." That also has to do with this training about resilience. So anyway, been working on that.
That's going to make for a great presentation. Try really hard to resist the urge to close it out by asking for subscribers and likes. That'll take people
Yeah.
That'll take
All
people
right, if you got something out of
out
this
of the
video, please
illusion.
like, comment, and subscribe. And sincerely, thank you for watching. I'm out. They're like, Chris, where you going? I'm out.
That's
Although I
my
have the
friend
second
Shawn Shaler.
presentation.
You point over to the corner. There's nobody there. Is he okay?
Make sure
Like,
you smash that like button. Nah, I've never said the word smash that like button.
from a marketing standpoint, I'm never gonna like point fingers at people for asking for the likes and subscriptions, but the smash the like button, I
It's
don't like. Why you
effective.
gotta smash it? Why can't it be a regular click?
It's effective to ask people to do something. They are more likely to do it when you
Yeah, I'm on
ask
board with
them
that.
to do it. It is a little annoying, but there is like proof that there's research that works.
Absolutely. The smash the
So
like
with that
button.
said, hey
I
guys, please
can't.
like that.
Please like this video.
Please like it.
If at the end of this video, if you liked it, it would be meaningful to us if you just regular clicked the like button. It didn't do anything to you. You don't have to smash it. You can just like a nice tap.
Smash that like button.
Just a nice right there on the old button.
Double
And
smash.
subscribe if you like. Hulk smash.
But don't double smash, because then that will unlike smash once
No,
or
you
smash
can only
3
smash in
times.
odd numbers. That's the rule.
Yes.
It has to be odd numbers greater than 0. That is the only appropriate number of times to smash a like button. Please.
Okay. This video today is about plot holes
Yeah, this
in the
video.
Avatar universe.
Chris, I'm excited about this one. I like it's we're talking about our favorite TV shows of all time, basically. Talking about our favorite, but it's not that they don't have flaws that are kind of fun to call out and bring out into the open and make fun of them to some degree. I enjoyed that, and I think that's very transparent. I'm excited about this.
Yeah. So me and Shawn will go through, and I will bring up the plot holes that someone has. I did ask people on Twitter and Facebook. Twitter responded with a few. What some plot holes that bother them. Me and Shawn will review them and say whether it is indeed a plot hole, a plot convenience, which is a lesser extent, or a plot plug, which means, hey, it's cool, it's legit. There is no plot hole. There's nothing wrong with it at all. For me, a plot hole is like bad writing that doesn't make any sense. That's really that I can't like even try to make right. There's some few here and there.
I want to
And
note
granted,
that
there
for
might
a
be
plot,
some.
it does, and I don't think there has to be an evident better solution to be a plot hole. It can still be a plot hole even if there's not like an immediate. Well, they should have just done this, and I was like, oh, I don't think that's the case. I think it can just be a plot hole because it was poorly constructed.
Yeah. All right. So the first one I have here is not a big one. We'll start small. So they make a lot of in the Avatar universe. There are hybrid animals, and they make a big deal about this, except for Bosco. But there are other animals who aren't hybrid animals. There is like a mouse. The first things that Hana, Hama bloodbends are mice, and then there's also wolves. What? Although now I think about it, most people are doing terrible things to these non-hybrid animals because
Non-hybrid
Unalaq and
animals
Karlak,
get treated like crap.
Nohatak and Unalaq learn how to bloodbend by bloodbending wolves,
And aren't
and
there?
then Hama bloodbend the mice, and then the Earth Queen is known to eat Bosco, who was the only bear. So maybe they're racist against non-hybrid animals. I
You
don't
got to be
know.
mixed, or we
Non-hybrid
don't.
animals get treated like crap.
That feels
Also,
yeah.
there's a few birds.
Fish. There's regular fish, I believe.
Yes,
So
definitely.
yeah, I mean,
That's not a plot. It's just an interesting little.
yeah.
Interesting
I would
scene.
just say that's a plug, and it kind of fits the tone of the
Yeah.
show and the universe. So I get what you're getting at, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Next one. Jet accusing Iroh of firebending because he heated his tea. Now so I've actually come around on this. I used to think this was a pretty big plot hole because because Jet is so dumb he doesn't realize like every single element in Bender has some control. Well, not every bender, sorry. Every element, depending on the bender, has some control of the temperature of their element. Water benders can turn water into ice or they can turn it into steam and any temperature varied in between. I feel like I'm rapping. Um,
The Avatar rap, you know it. Come on, sing
you,
along,
you want to know
kids.
about the elements? We got earth, water, fire, air. What can you tell me about? Dang it, that's why I'm not a good
Bosco the
rapper.
Bear.
Yeah.
Didn't hit the beat right. It's like the Corona
Oh,
commercial with Sandberg talking to Snoop. Was that
yeah.
good? It was awful.
um, so every so airbenders can control their body temperature by that's why Aang airbenders can control their body temperature. That's why Aang is never wearing like a huge coat or anything in the South or North Pole. He can always just regulate his temperature to keep it warm. Also, I've seen him before blow cold air onto something. This was like before he knew water bending to break chains or something. Earthbenders, we know we've seen lava benders before, and then fire benders can just do like varying degrees of hot. So that being said, Jet thought Iroh was a firebender, rightfully so. But I'm gonna go with I'm actually changing my mind here. I think it's not a plot hole because I think it fits within the character. Two things. I think it fits within the character of Jet to see red flags where normally people shouldn't see red flags, even though it is a red flag.
It's a
Even though this
paranoia type
flag is
thing.
actually, yeah, he's paranoid and everything. He can't be happy. So even though this is a white flag, it's actually a red flag, and he's seeing red flags. We should be seeing white flags, even though it's a red flag. I understand that.
I didn't, but
Secondly,
I get your in game.
secondly, if I think about like the benders that he would come across in boxing, say, so think about the elements. Airbenders, there's no airbenders. Now you're stuck with uh so now Iroh's either a firebender, an earthbender, or a waterbender. He earth lava bending is very, very rare. So then I can understand why he wouldn't think that he's a lava bender. Um, or any type of bending, changing the temperature of Earth, Earth being the most stubborn of element, that's the most reluctant to change, makes sense that it's rare that people would actually even want to change the temperature of it. um, so then that leaves firebenders and a waterbender. Uh, so out of the universe, I feel like fans can tell a difference just by looks of a waterbender and a firebender, but that's not the case in universe, which is why like characters like Sokka and Katara can like go in disguise even though they have very brown hair, blue eyes, and tan skin, that they can still go in disguise as as a Fire Nation. And there's some characters with a little dark, like Master P and Dao has kind of darker tone skin. It doesn't have blue eyes, so um, and so I guess I can concede that Jet would come to the conclusion that Iroh is a firebender. But there's still so I'm gonna say it's a plot convenience because I have to do some mental gymnastics to get there.
I think you could probably talk me into plug. I was leaning convenience just because it does. I didn't think about the mental gymnastics to get there. That's a good way to measure maybe. Just that on the surface it does feel a little like gimmicky or silly. That gives it that like something. It's a little bumpy. There's something just a hair off, but I really don't have any problem with it. So I'll go
Yeah.
between plug and convenience, and I'm leaning convenience. And you said convenience. I think that's a good spot for that. Um,
Okay.
it happens. Those happen.
Next one. We talked about this plenty of times before. The origin of bending. Oftentimes, like some people who watch Korra, they're like, "Oh, there's a huge plot hole. Like these things don't line up." I think this is, because in Avatar, it said that the original benders taught humans how to bend, whether it was the moon, the dragons, badger moles, or the sky bison. And so that's what people thought. And then in Legend of Korra, though, they said, well, the lion turtles gave humans the ability to bend. To me, those two things don't contradict each other. I've said this before. It's like the lion turtles gave people the ability to bend, but those original benders taught them how to bend and really make the element an extension of themselves. It's as if your mom bought you art supplies, but you went to an art teacher, and that art teacher really taught you how to be an artist.
You have arms. You have the ability to throw a baseball if you have arms that move, but you might still need to be taught to throw a baseball.
Yeah.
Chris, I like your explanation best. Even if I didn't like your explanation, I would still be totally okay with the idea that, like, every different, like, ethnicity and creed of human has its own different, like, origin story for the origin of man. Like,
Yeah.
you could convince me in a heartbeat, like, okay, yeah, Korra heard the real story from the source,
Mm-hmm.
basically,
Yeah.
but having no qualms with the idea that, like, these old wives' tales about the badger moles teaching kids how to earthbend, every person everywhere has some of those in their life. So I'm at plug. I have zero qualm with this whatsoever.
Yeah. Even in the commentary of the episode, sorry, the Secret Tunnel,
Secret tunnel.
because the episode goes through the origin of
Secret tunnel.
earthbending, or the legend of it, if you will, for Oma and Shu, who were like the first earthbenders. Like, even commentary, Brian or Mike is like, I really love, seeing how these like legends and this lore is. He wasn't saying like, I really love seeing how like we're telling you exactly how this happened. Like, this could just been like, sure, they probably weren't the first earthbenders, but they're probably the first ones who were like really, really good at it, that they could make an extension of themselves and stop a whole war.
Who's to say there weren't? Maybe there's already earthbenders on this other island over here that are direct descendants of
Yeah,
earthbending peoples,
yeah,
direct
yeah,
from the turtle,
exactly.
and then also these badger moles. It's just one of those things like, I'm totally okay with the varying origin points and origin stories. I prefer your explanation. I think that makes the most sense. You looking at it right in the story with Toph, essentially, you're seeing that
Hmm.
happen. Like, she has the ability, but then she was taught. But yeah, no, zero. This is like half percent plot hole to me at a
Yeah,
maximum.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Pop plug for me. Next one. Why won't the Fire Nation just kill Aang?
Because
Like,
bad guys in movies don't kill the people they're supposed to kill.
yeah. Well, so there's a but they specifically don't want to kill the Avatar. There's a moment there where Zhao has Aang captured, and Aang is like, "Well, why won't you kill me then?" Or maybe he doesn't say that. But Zhao is like, "No, we won't kill you because then you'll just be reborn to the next nation." But like, would that be a bad thing? Like,
You're just buying some time, and you go find that kid and kill them. Boom. You know what I mean?
this war is almost like, what's your? I get
It makes me think of
like,
Austin
would it
Powers with Seth
really?
Green talking about shooting Austin Powers in the head. Like,
Yeah.
you just go to the next nation, find that kid, boom. It'll be fun.
Well, my thing is like, all right, you Aang is 12. If you kill him, so he gets reborn to the Water Tribe, which you were already about to like try to take over the Water Tribe anyway. They're very, very small. But also the Avatar would be a baby, so it won't be able to do anything for at least Aang's age. So you got 12 years. Or you can let this kid continue to live. But I don't know if I called it. To me, it's not like a. It's between a plot convenience and a plot plug, because like I get their ration for it. It's like, hey, if we can just capture the Avatar, just hold them captive for their whole lives, we can have free reign forever and just keep them alive until we until they die of natural causes when they're like 80 something.
I'm putting it in convenience. I'd probably, like, on a spectrum of plug to whole. I'm putting it slightly on the whole side of
Yeah.
convenience, just because I think that, like, logical evil world leaders would be like, you know what? if we can't get him in Avatar state, just off him, or even just the creation of this notion of like, hey, you can end this line by killing something in the Avatar state, like that facet itself is kind of the plot convenience in discussion here. That like, hey, you can't end the line, you just got to do it in the Avatar state. That's kind of the convenience that we're looking at. But I'm okay with it. It is a convenience. It doesn't bug me. I'm fine with it.
That's the thing. And this is from Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas doesn't know this, but one day I'm gonna have him on the podcast. He's this YouTuber who also talks on Twitter every now and then. Cool guy. He has his own YouTube
What's
channel.
up, Mike Thomas?
It's called. Go check that out. Anyway, he wrote on Twitter. Iroh allowed the attack on the North Pole to stand side by side with Pakku in the finale. What was his relationship like with the White Lotus prior to Book 2?
That's a great question.
Like, hey, I like one thing. Let me backtrack because I was thinking about this. How did Iroh join the White Lotus? Like, he was playing Pie Show one day, and he was like, "Oh man, this game's really good." And someone's like, they do the whole shtick, and they, I don't know, indoctrinate him. But like, I wonder, like in the ceremony, they're like, "Oh, so who's getting indoctrinated today?" You might know him. He's Iroh, the Dragon of the West. You mean Iroh, the Dragon of the West, the Prince of the Fire Nation, or the heir to the throne, who's been waging this war, who he himself has been a general of. He like just tried to take over Ba Sing Se, laid siege for 300 days or 600 days.
Basically, the most important
Iroh,
city in the known universe.
Yeah, you talking about that Iroh who's probably responsible for people dying. Come on, he is responsible for people dying. I don't care what anyone like. You just still like lead the general, like the head general.
There's
of a
blood
war
on your hands,
and not be there's blood on his hands. And they're like, yeah, let's let that guy in.
I think I think it's worth wrapping up this plot hole into something like wrapping the idea of what he said. That the plot hole is like the timeline of Iroh's arc being off, or them just like flexing it to fit the needs of the show when they need it, right? So like, yeah, in this scene he's helping, attack the Water Tribe, and then secretly, like, he had to have already been. So that to me, oof.
I think he joined the White Lotus before the series started. I think right after the siege of Ba Sing Se and Du Tin died, and the creators say this, he went on a spiritual journey. And I think in that journey, he found the White Lotus. Not found it, not founded the White Lotus. The White Lotus.
He literal found it, not founded it.
Yeah.
It's confusing English language crap.
He found the White Lotus, and so I think it was that point. And I think throughout the series, he's never doing anything that's like blatantly bad. It can lead to something bad. I feel like with secret organizations, there is an understanding like, hey, every now and then you gotta look bad because you're kind of a double agent to look good. As long as you don't do anything really, really too bad, and as long as something bad's as long as you can prevent something really bad from happening. But she does. Like Iroh in the Northern Water Tribe, it's like when Zhao's about to kill Yosha Spirit, Iroh's like, Zhao, whatever you do to that, I'm gonna unleash on you tenfold. He wasn't trying to like talk him down. He was like, no, I'm gonna beat your ass if you
I'm going to murder you.
So I think Paco probably has an understanding of like, yeah, sure, Iroh's there, but Iroh's not really trying to take us over.
You could be members of a secret society together and still hate each other. I think
the interesting thing is like between the time that I think Iroh joined between the time that I think Iroh joined the White Lotus and the present time of them taking back Ba Sing Se, is really only like 5 years. So in that time, Ira would have had to become a senior member of the White Lotus in that short time frame,
I
which I
think
guess is
that
doable.
it's
I don't know how they work.
I think it takes a only a moderate amount of exercise, mental exercise, to sort of contrive how Iroh is masterminding the big picture, and that includes some risks and some ups and downs, and it's not perfect. It might be just a smidge clunky. But Chris, I don't know. If I'm jumping ahead and you want to go first on one of these, just holler at me. But that's convenience territory to me. I can live with that.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with that. It's a plot convenience. Wouldn't say a plot plug because there I got to do some again. It's gymnastics there. Got to go beyond what's on the screen.
I think you
So
have
yeah,
to
I'm cool with
convince
plot
yourself that
convenience.
he's like really big picture masterminding this,
I
and
mean,
it's
he
not
is
that
like
that's not hard to contrive. It's extra
if you look
level.
at like how he's mentoring Zuko, like he's trying to like slowly work him into seeing the right path. So it's not like Iroh's ever not on the the, the right path. And so like to me that's somewhat similar if I look at how he approaches Zuko. Because there's one point where he's like, "You have to choose good." He's not like, "Hey, change with me." He's already a changed person. I think he's already yeah. So I look at that as being somewhat indicative of his overarching looking at the big picture type of stuff.
Yeah, like I said,
Oh, he
it's not an
does.
immense amount of
Yeah. The one
mental
thing Iroh
gymnastics.
does that I question is in episode 2 where him and Zuko throw a fireball at Aang and them on Appa. That's the only thing he ever does. I'm just like, were you sure they were gonna block that, Iroh?
He was well. That's he's. It's maybe not that he's sure so much as he understands he's going to have to take some gambles
Yeah, yeah.
to maintain the facade. But that's where it is that like it's next level enough that it's not a plug to me
Iroh
personally.
accidentally kills the Avatar. Holy crap!
Like okay,
I did
yeah,
not.
he overestimated Avatar Aang's blockability. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, Trust me, I will go faster on these later ones. I sorted these by what I thought I could go fast on. This one's from Solomon. They showed Ozai answering after Zuko asked him where his mother. Oh, they should have showed Ozai answering Zuko after Zuko asked about where his mother was. Zuko asked him, and the scene just ends there. Kind of disappointing for people who didn't read the comics. And so I think when you look at it through the lens of the show and the show only, because them pretty much what they're saying is like they never answered the question of what happened to Zuko's mom. Is it a I'm not sure if
It's not that.
I wouldn't
So
describe it as
there's
really
like
anything. It doesn't
it's
affect the plots at all.
it's like it's a plot hole, but in a different story or in like a
Yeah,
tangential story. Like it's a
it's
big
an
deal, but not
unanswered
here.
question. Well, I guess so. The plot hole part might be that Zuko seemed no, because at the end of it, Zuko. Oh, that's what he's talking about. Zuko asks, "Where's my mother?" And I mean, yeah, like I said, it is a plot hole, but it's like separate
It's
from the overall narrative of the show.
that 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 to me. Man, I don't really know what to do with that one. I'm gonna say it's plot convenience because I understand the concern, but it's not integral to the big picture of this story.
Yeah,
So I think that's convenience for me. Where you
it's hard. That one's a tough one. Yeah, I'm gonna go convenience because I can't go a plug because
it's bumpy.
yeah. So yeah, I just go like it's a plot convenience that we don't get to see. It's convenient like for the plot and telling the story that they don't go that far into it.
Into keeping us on a leash, kind of like on a hook with that thing.
Yeah.
Like that's yeah, okay, I'm there. We haven't disagreed
Granted,
yet. That's bad.
later they answered it fully, and then it became a
Uh,
complete plug.
it wasn't even a plot plug; it just was plot
It
at
was
that point.
yeah, it was plot.
Just existed.
Yeah. Okay, so this one, why did Roku have to die? I still don't know exactly why. I mean, I guess he was tired, and at that old age, like he couldn't. To me, the Avatar, and you might think the Avatar state would have saved him from that like volcano. Also, my big question is, why didn't Roku leave when it seemed like everyone was safe? It could be
You
that
could
the
wrap those
volcano.
into the same
Yeah.
plot issue that
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
discussing here. Like he didn't he should have survived one way or the other.
Yeah. And it could be that he wasn't sure how powerful that volcano was. Sozin does say that he could feel the volcano from where he was at, which was like, you know, hundreds of miles away, give give or take 20 miles. And so May Roku was like, I really have to make sure these people get to safety because people on the boats are probably only like a quarter of a mile away, and no, so I gotta go with some plot convenience on that one.
I'm gonna say convenience because I'm first of all your explanation makes enough sense to me. It just I mean you're talking about a natural disaster. Second of all, this is
Yeah.
another place where anytime you're looking backwards, I feel like there could be some amount of untold story or just not omitted detail, but I just you're looking like you're at a retelling, and I'm always open to the ideas. Like there could have been more to it if we thought about it. That's convenience to me. I don't have major qualms with that.
Yeah. Next up, how did Janor save Rava in book two? Which was pretty confusing. And we've talked about this before in our rewrite of it. I am leaning. I have to. I'm gonna go plot hole, just plain and simple. I love book two. I love Legend of Korra. That might be the biggest plot hole in it all. Like, how did Janora know all these different things? And I'm gonna call it a plot hole because in the commentary, Bryan asked Mike, "So hey, what's going on here?" And even Mike is like, "Man," it Mike starts like he kind of explains it a little bit, but even that explanation wasn't like a great one. Like I can conceive in my head what was happening, but also I think that's like speculation on my part on what's exactly happening. And so I think it's a plot hole that I have to fill in with my own like knowledge. And like what I come up with is like probably logically what's happening. Like she can sense like, oh, there's a little bit of Rob inside there. I can shine a light on that. But also you gotta think, why how can she shine a light on that? They never explain like how she can do that thing, how she can teleport like over there. That kind of is a plot hole.
I am not a hyper perceptive critic, as if you've seen this podcast more than twice, you probably know. Anytime something feels like pretty abrupt, like I mean, it's abrupt or out of nowhere. It I mean, it's funny because we call plot plug as like the good thing, but it feels like it was patched in. Like if you got a big hole in the drywall and you literally got it like quick, we got to fill that with something. Like how does that
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the reason that this stands out to me so much as one of the bigger ones in the entire series. Is it just feels abrupt and unexplained, and maybe not even a ton of effort towards the explanation. Like you pretty much have
Yeah.
to either
Yeah.
ignore it, which is usually what I do. I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna whatever spirit world stuff.
Hmm.
You either have to try really hard or you just have to try to ignore it, and that to me feels like plot hole signs
Yeah.
personally. Big
Yeah.
and in this one, I'm biased because I don't love book two, but I would say this is a pretty serious one that I usually just choose
Yeah.
to ignore. Like, oh, that
One on
happened.
here that I'm gonna go ahead and remember it now. One on here that is not I don't have on here. How did after harmonic convergence? Why was Zahir such a great airbender? Um, I'm completely fine. I've never had an issue with Zahir being a great airbender because he's shown that he's been really into airbending. Like he was a fan of Guru Lahima well before uh he got airbending. Like he was already quoting him and stuff. He was already a fanatic, if you will. And to me, bending is very spiritual. So he probably already had like the spirituality of an airbender. And you can tell from his moves, there weren't like airbending moves, but you can tell he was incorporating his martial arts into his airbending. I
Where you
can't hear
put?
you. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, where are you putting this one?
Oh, I didn't say it. I'm gonna go with plot. Go with plot plug.
I'm gonna. I want to be harsher because I'm just against his general OPness.
Yeah.
Oh, that came out OOP. Oh, yeah, I gotta say that sounded terrible. His overpoweredness. So I want to go harsher. But I'm not gonna say all the way plot hole because what your explanation does make sense. I'm still gonna say that it is a convenience that he is so innately good.
That's fine.
Like you're in prison, you're being fed garbage, you're trapped. There's just limitations on not just airbending and
Maybe
practicing being
that's
airbend.
even
There's limitations on what you could do and
maybe
or improve
that
on
helps.
at
Maybe that
all.
helps airbending. Airbending is all about giving up your worldly possessions.
I think
He
that
had no worldly possessions.
and that's totally fine and that could be completely true. I would still say
I just
that's
made that up
that's
though.
like the mental no, that like it's a nice explanation. But that's still like the mental work you have to do to arrive at that. So I'm at least in convenience territory. I would be like more reactionary. Shawn would want it to be worse or more towards the plot hole territory just because of how good he is. But you pointed out to me in the episode that you even see some progression. In the very first
Mm.
episode, it's an even matched fight, and even getting beat to some degree, as opposed to the like more nuanced Zahir that we see later. It's a quick progression, but there's like progression. There's growth there. So,
Yeah.
um, convenience, and I have way more issue with what's his name, driving the truck. I do with Zahir Airbending.
You know, I don't even have this on this list because we talked about it
That's
too.
a whole plot hole, Chris.
That's not a plot.
That truck
Plot
did not
plug.
that truck did
Plot
not
plug.
exist when that guy went to prison.
Plot plug.
That's
Plot
a
plug on
that's
that one.
that's a whole that guy driving the truck. I can't think of his name. Is that Gazan?
It's on.
Gazan.
Yeah.
That's the
Real
biggest
quick.
hole of the whole series. What kind of gas mileage does
uh,
that get? You see any gas stations around here? The truck is crap. It's a plant.
I never thought about their usage of gas.
See?
I mean, they must use gas in those, Model T-ish, those automobiles.
They gotta
Yeah.
use some. I would find
Or maybe it's
bender
steam.
friendly
No,
ways to
they
do
don't
it,
use
but
steam. Anyway.
regardless.
Okay. Real quick.
Hey, that
Time
was
it
our
takes to
first
travel around the
disagreement so
world.
far. That was our first different landing spot.
Time it takes to travel around the world makes no sense. I I will never really, unless it's blatant and obvious, like it is sometimes in Game of Thrones. But I never really get to like, sure, it's a plot convenience. Like, oh, we were here at one point, now we're here. Yeah, like we don't need to spend time with the logistics of how long it takes to get places. Like, yeah, it's a plot convenience, but it's a plot convenience for a reason. Like, why we don't need to waste writers' time trying to keep
They
track of dates
they
and times and
also
stuff like
don't.
that.
They never at any point propose that the world is just like all that massive, and we don't really know how fast Appa flies. Like there's all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
these details that
These variables that we have no idea.
you that there again. It's not like doing the mental gymnastics. It's just that like you don't have to care. It doesn't impact the story, and they don't do anything to suggest that it shouldn't work. So you just take it, man. Just let it go.
Mhm.
That's a plot plug.
uh, yeah. So how much time we got? I'm just curious.
40 minutes, 39 minutes.
Jeez,
Yeah,
we
we're
have
okay.
40 minutes about this. Okay. Anyway, the count of how many avatars there are. So I think this was a plot hole at one point, especially when
Yeah, man.
Legend of Korra
Everything pre
introduced
Rozukin
one,
doesn't matter. Remember
and
when we
then like
didn't
you
know who
start to know
Rozukin's
like,
real name was? Those were the days.
yeah, it's Salah or Salih.
No, he was Zito or Zeto. Like
Zeto,
Rozukin was
my bad.
an
Yeah,
old
yes,
contrivance of ours.
yes. Avatar Zeto, my bad. I'm thinking of some other Avatar who I don't know who it is, but
Yeah,
Salah is we don't anyway. Um, So at one point, Roku says to John John, "I've lived thousands of lifetimes and learned elements thousands of times." And then, so I think for a long time we took that as gospel, as like, all right, yeah, there's been thousands of avatars. And then you get to Legend of Korra, and you're like, oh, it's been 10,000 years since Juan. Okay, well, if I do the math, that means the average lifespan, if I stick with 1,000 avatars in 10,000 years, the average lifespan is 10 years. That doesn't make any sense. But then I think the Kyoshi books actually I think added some clarification to that for me. There's a passage in the Shadow of Kyoshi where Kyoshi is going over this spiritual stuff, and he talks about how like think of the past lives as a flame, and that flame is like never the same, even if it's the same flame. Like the flame changes. So think of like Kyoshi herself. That one avatar life has changed a lot over that time. So now you take that and you think about how many lifetimes that is. And like that, you can say, oh, there's been spiritually 1,000 lifetimes. Also, um, with some of the stuff from Legend of Korra, you get the sense that people don't know how many avatars have been. Like there's been a connection lost there, and there's some assumptions going around. Um, like Roku doesn't know anything about Rava, like because there's been so much disconnection between some of the past lives. Some avatars that's learned in the novels don't even talk to their past lives. So there's been a game of telephone that's kind of been happening, some disconnection happening there. Um, I think there's like 150 avatars because then that makes the average lifespan like 80. And if you look at the temple where the statues are at, someone did the math and they're like, yeah, maybe there's like 100, and there could possibly be 160 or something like that. So I think this was a plot hole that's been eventually plugged either through some retconning or just which that's fine, um, or other means.
Um, so are you putting it in pure plug
Oh, my
territory?
bad. I'm putting.
I mean, you said plugged. I just want to make sure you
I
did it
did say
later.
plug. I'm putting it in convenience. But also, Mike and Brian are terrible at math.
That's
Like if I was doing it, I now looked at it and I'm like, yeah, 10,000 years seems like a good actual span to go from this time to this time. Um, I forgot what reason I came up with, but like if I was to do it, I would have just said like 100,000 years or something like that, just so you can give yourself that
some
thousands of
wiggle room.
lifetimes. Yeah. But if you think about but if you think about like if the world, like how was it? How was this world 100,000 years ago? It was way different. Like it wasn't the same world. Like I don't think humans might have been around. I don't know. Um, I forget. But if you think about 100,000 years ago, this was not the same. Like Juan's time felt felt unrealistic, and so the math never made any sense to say there were thousands of avatars. The math does make sense to say Juan was 10,000 years ago.
The really only piece of information here that stands out is like sort of inconsistent with the other, in my opinion. You know, because even like all the statues and stuff, like that room is a finite room. You know, there's a limited number of space and
Yeah.
statues in there. And maybe not all the statues are made. Why would, like, it's not like one became the avatar and the next airbender is like, I better make a statue of that one. You know,
Oh, there is a statue of Juan in there.
it's definitely retroactive.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Someone,
but like the only piece that stands out to me that's inconsistent is just Roku saying I've lived thousands of lifetimes or whatever. That's a figure of speech. That's nothing to me, man. I mean,
yes, yes,
that's
yeah, yeah, yeah. Figure of
uh,
speech.
it seems unfair to call it a plug because it's clunky. But it's like, not only does it barely affect the story, I mean it does, but not really. You're talking that like Zuko's mom kind of tangent possibility there. But also, I'm just gonna chalk it up to a figure of speech. Roku in his past lives, he never sat there and counted like how many there were talking
Yeah.
to. So that's a plug.
And I think figure of speech is a good way to put it because there are figures of speech in the Avatar universe, like Wan Ching Tong, who knows 10,000 things. Like it's not that hard to know 10,000 things. It's hard to probably name 10,000 things you know, but you know 10,000 things. but it's more of a sort of figure of speech of he who knows a lot of stuff, who's knowledgeable about a lot of stuff. So yeah, so
Kyoshi's
figure of speech.
your excerpt from Kyoshi explains the figure of speech better or validates that like yeah this is a figure of
Mm,
speech, but like even
yeah, yeah,
without that
yeah,
I take that as grandpa like just telling a grandpaism or whatever, you know. But that's fine. That's a plug for me. I'm gonna take a step below you even.
yeah. Okay. So, Airbenders claim to not kill. I think that's a. I think some Airbenders do kill. Clearly, Monkey Yatso had like a bunch of Fire Nation skeletons all around him. It's not really a plot hole. I think it's more so a like Aang just didn't know everything.
Yeah, well, and you know, airbenders as a creed might not include or
Yeah,
might
like
include not
Batman.
murdering.
Batman doesn't kill, but every now and then his actions results in someone dying.
Or like you know, if you have a belief system that has something written down in a book or on two stone tablets or whatever, and it says you're not supposed to, you don't do this, you don't do that. It's like some people and or you are still gonna do those things sometimes. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
man, maybe I'm getting lazy here, but Eric, and that to me is just that's a plug. That's just like humans not
yeah.
adhering 100% to a creed 100% of the time. Uh, Yeah, I mean, Gyatso
Yeah.
just decided like, hey, I don't kill, but I self defend.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Azula being able to lightning bend even though she had inner turmoil, like at the final Agni Kai. Because when Iroh was playing lightning bend with Zuko, he was like, "You got to be like in peace with yourself." I think this is one of those things where she unlocked it while she was very in peace and balance, and then once you unlock that chakra, if you will, it's unlocked. Like it's out.
I'm fine with that too. Also, just
Yeah.
kind of being a plug, and I'm also gonna say that they present firebending very nicely in a way that like, yeah, you can just like rage do stuff and be better and more powerful at stuff, but then Iroh's teaching like the right way to do it, and it is, you know, I don't think there's a single means to that end. So, plug.
Yeah. Next up, why didn't Aang just prove to the ticket lady that he was the Avatar? You remember in Serpent's Pass when he's like, "Hey, I'm the Avatar." She's like, "Get in line. I see 5 avatars a day," and there was like a bunch of avatars
Yeah,
lined up. Like Aang, I I want to say this is a whole because Aang could have just proved by like airbending and earthbending, and waterbending that he was the Avatar. Um, it's also one of the things I was like, I don't care. Like one thing he would have gone. It would same thing would have happened anyway
it
because he would have
wouldn't
saw that
have. Well,
that couple couldn't have.
it wouldn't have affected the plot of the story.
Yeah,
Um, like you know, I will agree that if you say like, yeah, I should have just done it. Like, yeah, no, I'm actually the Avatar. Here's the airbending trick. Maybe that lady still ignores him. Maybe she doesn't. I don't know. But I don't think it changes anything. So I mean, I guess plug. He's a kid
oh
that
yeah, I'll
like
just go with you
lost
then. Yeah,
interest. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Okay, why didn't Aang kill?
I mean, try explaining
Oh,
logical
something.
stuff to a like an 11-year-old in a stressful situation. You know.
Yeah. Some people said and I got some of these things from past like Reddit things and website forums. Some people wrote how to Sokka have knowledge about outside of the South Pole, like how to like put your ear to a tree or something like that and see if someone's coming. To me, that's the easiest. Like people have gone outside of the
They're out.
South
His
Pole
dad is
and stuff,
outside of
and
South Pole
yeah,
right
his dad's
now,
outside all
man.
the time. They were, yeah. And he
Oral
probably came back and was like,
tradition.
hey,
Yeah,
yeah, this is how you do this and this. Like, come on, that's simple.
that's a plug.
That's
Yeah,
not even, yeah.
Chris, can I?
Coldly faced.
Oh,
What?
go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna start the next one.
Well, I was actually gonna say I have one. I don't think it's a plot hole because I think there's an easy answer that I'm just forgetting. But just remind me at the
Yeah.
end. We'll talk about it. You can tell me what the easy answer is.
Okay. Hope you remember when we get there, or you'll just all wait. You can just go ahead and say it now if you want.
Sure. Well, so when Azula thinks she kills Aang in the Avatar state, I would say
Mm-hmm.
it's always bugged me just a little bit that you can be knocked out of the Avatar state without being killed. Like, hey, if you kill him in the Avatar state, the whole Avatar cycle ends. It's like, okay, but then you can also just be like knocked out of the Avatar state. I don't know why, and I don't think that's a whole, but it is a weird like the rules of being alive in the Avatar. Like by all accounts, it just feels like he should have been dead. Like why didn't he
Oh,
die? You know,
wait,
um,
wait, what do you mean knocked out? Uh,
like he just got knocked out of the
like,
Avatar state instead of being killed in the Avatar state. You know what I mean?
oh, why it didn't?
Why did he
Oh,
just
I
yeah?
get it.
Why
Like,
didn't he
so
die? Is
why?
all it amounts to. Um,
So to me, Rob, actually, I think that is might be a plot hole. Because the whole, as we learn in Legend of Korra, the whole reason why you don't want to die in the Avatar state is because if you die in the Avatar state, that means Rava will die. And if Rava died in the Avatar state, that would break the cycle of the Avatar. Now, Aang's, I have to do some mental gymnastics here. So if I think about Rava, I think about Aang's soul, or whoever's soul, Juan soul, Korra soul, everybody's soul. They are like permanently fused together. So when Azula shot him down while he's in the Avatar state, like Rava's manifesting herself in the Avatar state, Rava would have died just as Aang died, because Aang did die. Like, and Katara like brought him back. Well, actually, I'm not sure. Wait,
that's see that's
I don't,
that's
I
another
don't,
part of
I don't
it. Is
necessarily.
like that's
Yeah, I don't
like what
necessarily believe that Aang died. Actually, I don't. Now that I think about it, I don't believe Aang died because if that was the case. If Aang did die, Rava would be
she
disconnected from
already
him. She would have been
separated. She already
killed.
gone.
Yeah, she would have
But
been separated.
I don't know
And even
which
if
one.
Aang came back,
It's like I have problems with both sides. It's like, uh, I don't think he did die because Rava would have been
yes,
separated from him. But it feels like he did or should have died. Like it feels like it should have killed him.
maybe he was about to die.
He was like on
Like he was
those
on the
one
brink
percent on his
of
phone
death.
battery. Well, and so that's why I would say after we talk about, I'm gonna say like convenience, not plot
I think
hole, because
convenience
you
is
you
fair.
can you can jump to that notion of like, well, he was pretty much like if you let him lay there another second and he's like dead, but you know what? She got to him just in time, and the brain was still
Yeah,
active. You know, you can
yeah,
work.
yeah.
So I will go to convenience. It's just one of those things that always bugs me a little bit. Weird Avatar state rules. Anyway, I interrupted you.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fine. No, that was a good one. I didn't have that on the list, and I was afraid that you would have forgotten by the time we got to the end of it.
I probably
Um,
would have. Let's be real.
Cola Face Hiller got his timing wrong. When he's talking to Aang, he's like, I stole your loved ones some 800 years or so ago. And while he's talking about Avatar Korra, because he shows her face, his bride's face, which was actually more so about 400 years ago. I'm fine. Like, oh, like he probably doesn't keep. He seemed unsure. He was like 800 years or so ago.
Time
Like
passes
he seemed like he
differently in the
doesn't.
spirit world.
Yeah, sure, that too. Or he's just like not that concerned with time. So it's. I don't even think it's a plot. I just think it's just a plot plug. Like it
Yeah,
to
I'm
me, it's
just gonna
nothing.
put like you can convince me that in different dimensions that time functions a little differently, and I can accept that pretty easily. So
Yeah. Here might be a big plot hole. How did the Fire Nation reach the air temples? Like they didn't have a bison because for a while Angle's like, oh, the only way you can reach it is with the bison. You could say a dragon, but I don't think they had that many dragons. I
but
feel
how
like
many dragons
dragons
does
were
it take to
only
get an army to, beat a
yeah,
peaceful nation?
but the dragons weren't like that big that they could like
That's true. They're pretty modest
bring
sized
Fire
dragons
Nation.
compared to what I'm used
Yeah,
to.
yeah. The other thing is like maybe the reason why Sozin was waiting for Sozin's comment was so that Firebenders would be strong enough to like pro
Can like
propel
jet propel
themselves
yourself?
up. But like that's to me that's not likely either because we've only seen like two people able to do that, and that was like John, well three John, and that's with Sozin's, and these are with Sozin's comment. It's
Well,
John, Ozai, Azula, and that's pretty much it. And those are like three of the most strongest firebenders there are. So these like scrubs probably won't get that great of firebending to propel themselves up.
I'm gonna give it convenience, but I'm gonna defend it against plot hole for a couple reasons. And the couple is that one, it would only take a couple people getting up there to get ropes up, or whatever, like to get the next person. And then two is I wonder if there's got to be like a precursor to a hot air balloon, right? They already had, like, they were powering ships with firebending and things, so they like had semblance of technology. Somebody out there discovered at one point in time that hot air rises, so like I'm gonna
I
chalk
don't
it
think
up
they
as
had. I
convenience.
think they definitely didn't have air balloons because that one Fire Nation guy was like, "Oh, this when he found the hot air balloons, oh, this will lead us to many more victories." Like that was like the first time they thought about that. But I think on the other scale, I think they might have some type of inventions to at least scale better, or maybe they really needed the Sosa's comet so they can take the harsh conditions of those upper.
Yes, they could
Like
just
maybe
climb
they,
better because they're more
yeah, they can
powerful and
climb
better
better
control
because
it.
yeah,
Also, when Aang said only Bison can get up there, it's like, okay, that was, a young
hundred
child's knowledge 100 years
true,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so I'm gonna mark it up as convenience because it's a good question that I have to think about a little bit.
I am like in the middle of plot hole and plot convenience. Probably more so leaning towards plot hole because I just now thought of the whole like, oh, now there can be better climbers because they can keep themselves warm from the elements
I
of
think you
those.
could contrive enough unique ways that you could get a few people up there for the start of an ambush, and then you bring a dragon full of a handful more people. Um, I don't know. I'm convenience. I respect your decision to lean towards plot hole.
Yeah. Okay. So how would the Fire Nation know that the Avatar escaped the Air Nomad genocide? To me, I think Sozin would have known that if he killed them, he would have triggered the Avatar state, and that would have been the telltale sign. But I guess you still ran that chance of Avatar state not triggering, killing someone there, because they killed everybody. They killed people who were Aang's age.
So he was doing kind of what we said to do earlier, right? Which he was just like,
Yeah, it was,
man, buy
but
me a
he, yeah,
decade.
they,
Um, I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I'm just
but
okay with that
he
line
was.
of thought, I guess.
I mean, he was looking for the Avatar,
I
and
he's probably, we don't know what order he killed people. He's probably hoping to trigger it, but it's like, okay, if I can't find an Avatar, number one, right? That's like objective one.
yeah,
But objective two is like, all right, if you can't find an Avatar, just kill them all. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Uh, I don't know if I have any issues with that personally.
I think I have a plot. No, convenience there. 'Cause it's like, all right, well, yeah.
It's
Uh,
inconsistent, maybe, with behaviors. Uh, no, I'm staying plugged. I don't have any issues with that.
yeah. All right, this last one here is Toph was able to recognize Mei and Ty Lee disguised as Kyoshi warriors, even though she's blind and never actually met them or heard the sound of their voice. Which I guess that is act like
Give me
like
convenience
before.
for recognizing something's different.
I mean, I guess that Toph. I never thought about it, but I guess Toph, the closest she would have come into contact with Mei and Ty Lee would have been in the episode The Chase. But Toph was with Iroh. Wait, why wasn't Toph?
But she did go back and see them in that episode, right? Like she got back to them in that episode when they were
Yeah.
having
So I
a
guess
tussle.
yeah. So I guess Toph never. I mean, to me that yeah, sure, it's a plot hole, but also I don't care. It's so small.
Uh, I'm gonna divert to that Sixth Sense thing of Kyoshi warriors are Earth Kingdom people. Toph's she's educated, she's got heightened
No,
senses
no.
of feel from being an Earthbender and seismic sense, and even her hearing and everything. Like she could just have noticed and felt that something was off and different, and I would buy that. Um, I'll go convenience because I got to think about it as Midge. What
Uh,
did you land on? Did you say whole or convenience? Or
I'll
you
just go whole because I'll just go whole. But
Yeah.
also, it's a hole. It's a small hole.
It's a whole. It's just one that's over there. Like you don't have to walk over it. You just
Yeah.
it's all the way over there. I can live with
Do you have
that.
anything else? Do you have any other plot holes? I was trying to think of some.
It feels like we were shorter. Like we had much more of these in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I think that's just like familiarity and
Yeah.
less of
Oh,
the
some
lore
people.
buildup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one big plot hole that I've argued with people about. Some people are like, "How the heck does that Zahir unlock this ancient thing that's never been done before?" Like,
But it has been done before.
yeah, it hasn't been done before. And also, there was some question about
That is the part that I'm like the most okay with buying in terms of Zahir being
it.
OP.
Yeah,
Just in the sense like
yeah.
he did have 20 years to sit and meditate. Like I can live with that part. Like he
Mm.
sat around meditating on this ancient fantastic airbender that did this really cool thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any real sincere issue with that outside of the general issue I take with him sort of being OP across the board.
Yeah.
I keep saying
Anything
20
else in
years.
like?
Is that right or is it
No, it's
20
wrong.
years?
I just didn't care. Right.
What how long are they
It
in
would have
there?
been like so they kidnapped Korra when she was probably about 3 or 4.
So
Korra
14 years give or
in
take.
book 3 is about 18. So yeah, it's about 14 years,
Okay.
maybe 13.
So no, outside of his generic OPness, overpoweredness, which I'm not gonna say the other way anymore. I don't have any extra issue with the flight. And damn, is that a good episode?
Any other like any plot holes you see in like Legend of Korra book 1 or 2? Yes, or any of
You
Legend of
know,
Korra. I mean, a lot of people talk crap about book 2.
which we that one's messy, but you can chalk most of it up to like Spirit World shenanigans. Like okay,
Yeah.
um,
And some things, like some people might ask, like, well, how is Korra able to like bend the energy within ourselves? And to me, that's like supported by the lion turtle before saying like, oh, before the elements, people will use to bend the energy within ourselves. Like to me, that's supported by Korra being able to do that.
you know,
Um,
most of mine, everything that comes to mind that bugs me a little bit just tends to be overpowered characters. So like Amon being like such an elite bloodbender is like how did he get so good at bloodbending over? Was he practicing on stuff or like that nobody ever would have thought to notice or think about him being a bloodbender or like Aang with the energy bending. I'll say that I won't say it bugged me, but something I
uh,
always thought just like okay, he just invented a new kind of bending just for this moment. That
that was, I think that is a plot. It's a very Deus Ex Machina. Like that's a very plot convenience. Like you just happen to
you
run
have
into
two
the lion
choices and then
turtle,
you just get to
and
invent a third choice.
yeah.
Like that, you can convince me that's a
I mean, they
whole.
explained it.
They
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 they're like, "Hey,
did
I got it from this lion turtle."
they did,
But well, actually, no, because
but
at
there's
the
never
time,
been
like, how the heck did the lion turtle give you?
specifically. Did everyone else have it and they just weren't using it? Is there this whole world But that's the part where it's like it's convenience at a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I would say the things that bother me the most tend to be things the characters just getting to do things that feel unfair. Um, yeah, which we've already hit most of the big ones there. So
Yeah. I don't think there's any more Legend Core, just to be fair, because I do think we had more from. Weirdly enough, because I think more people find more plot holes and
uh,
like, or people have more issues with like story elements
spirit
in Legend
vines
Core than they
being
do.
like a tangible source
Oh,
of energy or
one
uh,
potential plot hole, um, like Toph and Katara does not be involved in anything. Like Katara wasn't involved in the Civil War. Toph was like, I'm too old for this stuff in book 4. Um, that is,
it's like an easy out. So I can see that as being a questionable
but I mean, but
plot
we
choice.
see in the Avatar universe, the old people can still fight.
Yeah,
Really,
that's my
And
like
these are like masters. Like Paco was still like serving people up. Katara does seem a little bit more old and timid. Like she doesn't seem like she has any sprite in her.
they bill her as an old lady.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that
it's like,
feels like
yeah, I can still kick butt.
a
I think it's
convenience of
yeah, I'm go convenience for Katara and then a slight hole for Toph, even though she's like, because the reason she gets is like, you gotta leave this for the young kids. Like, it's for the new
well,
generation.
she
It's
was
like, that's a
fighting.
terrible excuse.
It is, but she also just been like fighting battles her whole life. So she might be saying one thing, but what she really feeling inside her heart is like she didn't have the motivation to try to help people anymore. What did she get? So I'm still a
And
convenience
she
there
didn't make
too,
it
but I get
seem
the
like
concern.
she was like, don't tell Korra, but after fighting her, like, I am wore out. Like, she might have actually just been physically
Could be, could be.
not
It doesn't bother
there.
me a
So, yeah,
ton,
I'm
but
gonna
I
switch
like
that
the
to, yeah.
question enough that I'm going to respect it as a convenience.
Yeah, I'll switch it to. I was kind of on plot hole, but I think I'm gonna go plot convenience a little bit, especially with Katara,
I don't
because
see her.
Katara showed no
Yeah,
signs
I don't see
of
Toph's
she was.
motivation of being there for a number of reasons. So,
Yeah. Zuko's out there still trying his hardest,
which just
fighting
feels like a
Red
Zuko thing
Lotus.
to do, you know? That feels
Uh,
very Zuko. Hmm. This
uh,
is a good topic. I liked it. It was like ships but fun. You know what I mean?
oh, we'll eventually get the ships. I still have
Gross.
to ask this one person. Oh darn, I forgot her name, but eventually we'll get the ships.
You
I think
people
I
in your
might wait until
stories.
I think um Next, my plan is next Valentine's Day have Legend of Korra ships episode. There you go, yawning because you're already bored by the.
I'm
By
sick that day, man. I'm sorry I can't make
the...
it. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. If we missed any giant plot holes or if you disagree with our answers, be sure to smash the like button. Let us know what we missed or what you think about our reactions down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, we would appreciate a like and a sub. Always very welcome. And the little bell thing that I never use personally.
That's okay. You don't have to do the bell.
I turned the
Oh,
bell
can we do
on.
the bell
I
thing?
turned the bell on
Thing, but
for your channel, but outside of that, I got
I haven't
nothing.
made a video in forever.
Yeah, the
You
bell
know when
goes
I
off.
upload something, Shawn.
I go upload stuff on your channel, and then I go to my channel, and the bell's got an icon by it. Makes me feel good.
Sorry.
Nah, it's fine. But hey, Chris, thanks for the idea. This is a great one, and for pitching all the plot points in there. And thank you all for listening and or watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Oh no, not yet.
I like Chris closing song better than opening song. I like the closing. It's better. It slaps harder.